All right, so Bavarian. This is a very important part of the class here. And a Bavarian is a wonderful blank palette for tons of different kinds of mousse-like, creamy desserts and treats that you can serve. We're going to start first by talking a little bit about the gelatin sheets. So you have gelatin sheets. I've given you the sheets. You need to soak these gelatin sheets in cold water. And we'll show you for about how long, but it's usually about 3 to 4 minutes. You don't want to let it sit in the water for too long. It will keep absorbing water. The more water it absorbs, the more water you put into your product, which then flattens out your flavor. And you want it to be very flavorful. So 9 times out of 10, we're trying to cook water out and concentrate the flavor of the product. So the idea of you taking water into there is not going to be very, very good. So we have some warm anglaise that I've just brought off the stove. This is about 12 ounces of anglaise. We got a nice nappe on this. Hopefully you've practiced this with your anglaise video, and you've practiced this a couple times. And this anglaise is good and warm. We're probably at about 96 degrees, which is what we want. I'm looking at my gelatin sheets. They're starting to see how they're getting soft. That's one of the things we're looking for. And then of course the last part to this is our heavy cream. So we have some heavy cream that we're going to soft whip in the machine, or you can do it by hand at home. We'll pour that into the machine. I'm normally a big fan of doing it by hand, but today we'll go ahead and use the machine. So gelatin is nice and soft. I'm going to wring out the extra moisture. I'm going to place it into my warm gelatin, or into my warm anglaise, and I'm going to get that to dissolve. I need that warm gelatin to dissolve into the warm anglaise, and once that's all dissolved, I will then transfer this jellified anglaise into a bowl on ice water. So I've got my bowl here. I'm going to transfer this to ice water. And what I'm doing, so gelatin melts at 86 and starts to set at 68. It's also an item that is referred to as thermoreversible. Gelatin is a thermoreversible hydrocolloid, meaning it can go left or right, up and down from its temperature. So you can actually melt it, and then of course it'll solidify back once it gets back. So we're going to bring that right here. We're just going to wait for this to what I call sludgy. It's the word that I've used for years, sludgy. It should kind of look like your pastry cream. And while that's happening, we'll go ahead and start whipping up our cream. So stirring this around just a little bit, waiting for that to get a little sludgy. It usually takes about 4 to 5 minutes. We'll see how long it takes here with our cold water and the ice. And we'll let that get sludgy. All right, so now you can see after about 5 to 6 minutes, it starts to look kind of like pastry cream. So I'm going to remove this from the ice water. I don't need it to keep getting colder, but I'm going to give this a little whisk and let that set aside for a moment. We also have our whipped cream, and this is very, very soft. You'll notice it's not even really holding peaks. It's just barely there. So I've got those two ingredients. Let's talk about the mold. So you can use some of the silicone molds that are available. You can find them on Amazon and different places. Even Atlantic Restaurant Supply here in Myrtle Beach has them on the shelf. But some basic, simple stuff. You're at home, project protector. So everybody sees these, a 3-ring binder project protector. Come up through it, cut your end off, cut your bottom off, and what you end up with are these sheets, like so. So what you're going to do is you take the sheet itself and wrap it around a dowel, your rolling pin, whatever you want. Wrap it nice and tight. Okay, and then you're going to take a piece of tape and just tape the end so it holds on. So what you have is this little cylinder. So you want to have those ready to go before you make your actual Bavarian, because once this and this activate, you're off to the races. So we have our molds made. We have a bag that's over a vessel so that when I finish making my Bavarian, I can put it in and I can pipe it cleanly. And I'm going to take my cream and I'm going to put it right over the top of that sludgy anglaise. I'm gonna fold it together. So obviously the cream is gonna lighten it, and it's going to give it a nice flavor as well with the fat that's in there from the cream. So I'm using my whisk to actually fold. You'll notice the motion here to get it started. I'm not whisking it, I'm just folding in and out, okay, till I get that started. And then I can come in with my rubber spatula and actually get to the bottom and make sure I get everything folded together. And so it's gonna start setting up pretty quickly, but right now it is somewhat pourable, which is what we want. Now, me personally, trying to hit a small vessel like that, it's kind of a pain unless you're using a funnel spout or whatever, but this is where the piping bag comes in handy. So I'm gonna take and pour my Bavarian cream into my bowl, or out of my bowl and into my bag. Pull that up. I'm gonna first get that twisted off, hold it upright, and then we're gonna cut a piece off like so. So with your silicone molds, you can actually fill these, and these, like I said, if you're gonna buy one, make sure you go and grab one. Shop local here in Myrtle Beach. We've got Atlantic Restaurant Supply. She sells a lot of different silicone molds. I'll be honest with you though, the dome is probably one of your best choices. It's so versatile. There's a lot of things you can do. You can put inserts in it easily, and it looks nice and it glazes really nice. So here we are. We've got our Bavarians. They've been in the freezer. They're nice and solid. This is the silicone mold. You'll see that while they're frozen, they pop out of the molds very easily. And then of course, our homemade molds that I showed you how to make, you can actually come through and just remove the acetate, and you're left with your mousse portion. Now these will sit in the refrigerator for about 20 to 30 minutes minimum, and then you'll be able to serve it. Now typically what I would do is I would pop these out onto a chocolate disc, or maybe a pâte sucrée disc, or a sugar cookie, or a shortbread, and I would then put that in the refrigerator. Maybe they need to be glacaged with a little bit of ganache. There's lots of different things you can try out at home now that you've got a couple of extra tools in your box there. So go ahead and pop them out while they're frozen, and then wait for them to refrigerate and get soft, and you'll be able to run a fork to it just like mousse. So after about 30 minutes of the Bavarian sitting in the refrigerator, maybe even a little bit longer in certain refrigerators, you'll notice that I can kind of cut through the actual mousse itself, or the Bavarian. So it holds its shape ever so gently, and that's the idea. Silky smooth, great vanilla flavor. You'll be doing this for your final practical exam for this class, and incorporating some gelatin along with the anglaise and then the cream. But more importantly, you're gonna put a little bit of orange zest in there so it'll taste like an orange dreamsicle. So super, super excited to see how you work with this at the house.